Hey everyone, this is Olay from Laddering Your Success, and you're listening to the LYS Podcast.
All right. I'm about to say happy Wednesday. Happy Sunday. Another wonderful Sunday out here, another hot one. All right, I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing great. My name is Olay Shorunke. I'm here with Festus and Olay, Daniel Hill. Ladies and gentlemen, it's another Sunday, 2 p.m., a little bit after 2 p.m. As Festus said, we're a little crusty, so please forgive us for our lateness. But it is another Sunday of free student mentoring for LYS. Festus, how you doing today?
I'm good, man. I'm good, except for a little crust. You know when you're like, oh, I'm making moves, and then you're just tired, and then you're like, oh man. And so yeah, everybody else is napping. That's good. Keisha and the kids are napping, and so I'm just a little crusty this morning. But other than that, I'm good, man. I'm good.
Mr. Hill, how you doing?
Man, I'm good. I've been sleeping all week. I've been napping every 3 hours. I actually feel like how my mom been doing, man, for the last couple of years. Man, I wake up to eat and go back to sleep.
I wish, man.
It's a good feeling, man. It's good to wake up. It's good to wake up, no responsibility.
Facts.
You know what I mean? Oh yeah, really, really good. No, man. Yeah, a little bit the same. Just resting, catching up on rest, because we need it. So, but either way, we're glad to be back. Glad to be back for another Sunday of free student mentoring. So, as we've been going over, this is going to be like the third week we've actually gone over this. In the wake of the Baldy shooting, did a piece. I pre-recorded a message, and so we're just literally going over that message and talking about how it relates to us and how certain things that we're lacking as young people today affects us and causes things like what happened in Uvalde. And not just that, but just the current state of students, right? Because like we talked about in the beginning part of the video, it involves the three main participants that LYS is trying to help: teachers, students, and parents, right? And so a lot of times it's the students are lost and confused. If the students are lost and confused, a lot of times parents don't have tools and resources or knowledge to be able to help their students, to help their kids, right? The same thing is being dealt with by the people students see the majority of the time in months August through May or June, teachers, right? And so all three of our main stakeholders, all three of the main people that we try to help with LYS are being affected right now. So all we're doing is we're going over this video, going over dissecting, we're breaking down those little parts that we're talking about, and we're just applying and trying to understand how it applies to today's students, teachers, parents, right? So Festus, if you got the video.
Yeah, let me go and pull up the video. Hey, if you guys are on social and you're watching us, thanks so much for checking us out. We really appreciate you guys. Like always, please hit the like button, hit the share button, because that helps us with the whole algorithm thing. And again, we enjoy doing this. We're trying to make good content for the community. And so your help is greatly appreciated. So with that being said, we'll go to the video.
All right. As soon as you said that, you reminded me of that thing where I'm trying to get back to my community. Sorry.
All right, bro.
How do I execute that plan excellently? Right? What are the resources to help me with those things? We're going to spend some time and we're going to talk about these things this week, next week, possibly the week after that, because this is a huge issue, and no one's talking about it. We're just talking about the symptoms. We're not talking about the underlying issue. That's what I was. We're talking about the symptoms, right? We're trying to deal with the symptoms. We're not dealing with the underlying issues. Okay. Guess what else is going on? There's been an increase. I just talked about it. Increase in anxiety, increase in depression, increase self-harm, increase in suicidal ideation, right? Thoughts of suicide, right? And I'm gonna be honest with you. It's something I've dealt with. All of these things, all of them. something I've dealt with. So I'm empathetic to how you're feeling. I'm empathetic to what you're going through right now. I am. I had to be, know, and do. I had to understand my values and my principles. I had to find the resources that were available to me. And I'm gonna lie to you, it was hard for me as an adult to find those resources that were available to me. But I went and I found them, right? And I had to make sure I did those things with excellence. Why? Because if you don't do them with excellence, you're not gonna really get much accomplished. You're not. So you gotta make sure you do those things, you execute those things excellently. And there's nothing wrong with setting a high standard for yourself. There's nothing wrong with wanting to put yourself in a position where you do things excellently. And if people look at you like you're crazy, let them look at you like you're crazy. Let them look at you. Let them look at you like you're crazy. Because at the end of the day, you are trying to ladder your way. You're trying to climb your way up to success. Okay. But I just put that there just so we can know about that. These are definitely things that students are dealing with. And it hurts me, to see students say things like, I thought about hurting myself, or I'm a cutter. I cut myself. And I want to let you know, just Google like suicide help, and I'll you know what, I'm just actually going to take a break here right now, and I'm going to make sure I pull that number up. So if you need it, you at least know where you can call. There it is. Let me share my screen here. That's how important it is. 1-800-273-8255. National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Available 24 hours. Right there. Okay. 1-800-273-8255. 1-800-273-8255. Okay. It's that important. Because here's the thing, guys. One of my favorite mentors, his name is Miles Monroe. Miles Monroe said the greatest source of unfulfilled potential is in the cemetery. The cemetery holds the greatest source of unfulfilled potential. It's in the cemetery.
I think that's a good pause point. What you guys think? You're muted, Olay.
I'm sorry. I think that's good. Yeah, that's definitely a great place to stop. As it was going, I was like, "Ooh, but we getting real out here."
Yeah, use heavy, and I think that level of transparency is good. You know what I mean? Because I think a lot of this is the way I look at it, right? A lot of kids, young people, they're struggling. But I think what makes the struggle worse is when the people that they look up to or that they need help from are also struggling. And I think that's what amplifies the depressive state, is like, I want to help my mama out, but I see how hard my mom's struggling, and she's not able to make it. So, or she's not able to cope. So what does that mean for me, type thing? You know what I'm saying? And I think the same thing for educators, when it's like, as an educator, if your student sees you throwing in the towel, you know what I'm saying? I think that makes it that much more difficult for them when they're like, oh, they're throwing in the towel and they're giving up on me type thing. You know what I'm saying? I think that's really hard.
Yes. Mr. Hill, how you feel about that?
Nah, man, he's saying the same thing. That's like, even when it comes to church, when you see people talking about prayer and prayer and prayer, but then your parents don't want to pray. So it's like putting stress on you. Like, well, if they struggling with it, then you know what I'm saying, I'm the same way. Like, it's kind of, he's saying, if you see the people you're looking up to not doing it or struggling with prayer or having faith, then it's hard for them to have faith situations. So if it's hard for the say like, if you're teaching and it's hard for somebody to have faith in the student, it's kind of hard for them to have faith in themselves. You know what I'm saying? I've tried. I've been both.
Yeah, that's tough, man. And again, like I said, I think that level of transparency, a lot of kids need to hear the story of overcoming, but also the story of struggling, but also the story of overcoming. And I think that's a big piece of success to me, is that number one, after you define that success, telling the story or the journey of getting there. You know what I mean? Because it's not an overnight thing. And I think so often, and I think this is part of the reason why kids look up to, like, you know, quote unquote superstars or whatever, or influencers, is because it's like, wow, that just seems so instant. And what if my life could just in an instant turn around and be like this or like that? But it's like, no, when you really think about life, it's like every moment in and out and putting in the work and dealing with things, you know, because we all struggle as human beings, and we have limited capacity, and yeah, you know, man.
Yeah, hey man, that was a good point right there. I like how you say, like, how the kids look up to the superstars. But if they look at the superstars, like, I mean, there's one person, they said, man, he was an instant hit overnight. And like, this was like in 2018 or something like that. But it was crazy. Ashley looked at his YouTube channel, or like when it actually started, it was like 2007. So it's like, bro, it wasn't overnight. Like, these people had to struggle, and they tell you stories. But it's crazy how these kids or people, I want to say kids, all levels, is like, they don't see the struggle. All they see is success. They don't see, well, okay, he had to do this for this year. Like, no, I think they was talking about, y'all was talking about the Serena Williams thing or whatever, right? Was that last week?
Yeah.
Everybody was like, oh, well, you know what I'm saying? She was just bad, you know, always. No, bro, they grinded, like, in the hood. You know what I'm saying? They come, like, but nobody tells that story, like, until now they've seen it. So that's the whole story. Like you say, they got to where they came from, but also overcoming that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Now, let me go ahead, Olay.
Sorry. No. Go ahead.
No, because I was gonna ask you a question in terms of like students and watching students struggle. Like, what are some ways that, you know, in a classroom situation, you could point them towards, you know, understanding the difference, you know what I'm saying, of like the timeline it takes to become successful.
You mean as far as kind of like what you guys were talking about, like overnight success,
yeah,
and things like that?
Yeah, like a student struggling, and in the classroom, and you're like, yo, like, you know, this is how long it might take you to be successful, or getting them to kind of understand like that pathway or the journey. You know what I mean? Because everybody wants the quick fix, right? Like, fix it, Mr. Sharonke. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, some things in life are just, they're going to take time. And so like, I guess what I'm really saying is, like, how do you express to the students, yo, this is how long it's going to take. This is how you can make an impact. You know what I mean?
I think that's a really good question. I in my opinion, and this is really because of LYS, the first question I'm gonna ask is, why are you here? What is your purpose? You see, if you have an understanding of what your purpose is, asking those questions, finding out what your family, your mom, your dad, your grandparents, great aunts, great uncles, what they did before you. If you have an understanding of your talents, your skills, your abilities, even if it takes you 10, 15 years, you will enjoy every minute of the ride. Why? Because you're working within your destiny. You're working within your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So that ride is going to be so much fun. It's going to be so worth it. Is it going to be hard? Yes. Yeah, sorry. We weren't built for easy. We were literally built that if we get into this monotonous thing where we don't push ourselves, we literally are killing ourselves.
You know, and that's a very, very powerful point, because I was talking with Brother Cleo about Lois and Clark, and everybody knows about Lois and Clark and how they traversed the United States, right? But there was two main people with Lois and Clark: a Sacagawea, which was a Native American woman, I believe, and then a guy named York, which was actually a Black guy. And basically, Sacagawea and York were the ones who taught them how to like live as they make the journey. And Lois and Clark were just, you know, doing their journaling and their, you know, that stuff. You know what I'm saying? But it's so significant that you say that. Is like, we're built to conquer hard things. And I think that's something that's lost on our society is, you know, there's this kind of victimhood and victimization mentality that's being pushed on top of like a entitlement, you know what I'm saying? Where it's like you're an entitled victim and there's nothing you could do about it. You need people like me in order, or you need, you know what I'm saying? And instead it's like, you know, for those who are coming from faith background, no, you're more than a conqueror in Christ. You know what I'm saying? For those who are not, it's like, even still, you know, the breath of God is what made you alive, and like, you know, and you're made to like conquer and do hard things. And so that means Elon Musk is no different than you. What's this guy's name? Bill Gates is no different than you. Any of these, Jeff Bezos or whoever, whatever name you want to throw out, it's the difference of work ethic meets opportunity meets execution. You know what I'm saying? And the when you really understand that, it's like, yes, there are things that give them advantages. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to discount anybody's advantage and say, oh, well, you know, like that advantage didn't hook them up. No, it was a hookup. You know what I'm saying? But in terms of, are they better than you intrinsically as a person? Absolutely not. You know what I'm saying? They might have more wealth than you do, but intrinsically as a person, you have just as much value as them. You have great ideas too. It's about you being able to kind of pull that stuff out, use that hard work, use that tenacity, use that vigilance to be able to create for yourself in your own spaces. Because as much as we want to rely on other people to make safe spaces for us and things like that, the truth of the matter is they can't, you know. And it's sad, but it's like, you know, again, you go and you look at this situation in Uvalde and you're like, wow, there was failure on so many levels. And it's like, but could we really protect every school in every situation? Like they were talking about the locks on the doors and how these steel doors were designed to keep people out. Well, because they were designed that way, it ended up locking the kids in once the guy got in the classroom. And it's like, man, like all these different things become, how do I put it, almost like barriers to us, but we gotta like dig deep to know that we can conquer as well. You know what I'm saying? And so, but yeah, I just want to throw that out. Go ahead, Olay.
Oh no, I'll just say one quick thing. All those people you mentioned, the Musk, the Gates, you know, the Bezoses of the world, and all these different sectors and all these different, you know, areas or whatever. They literally found their purpose and their passion, and they found a major problem, and they found a solution to the problem, and they're reaping the benefits of solving those problems. That's literally, you know, all it is.
That's it.
And so I always tell the kids in the classroom, you know, the next whoever is probably in this classroom.
Wow.
The question is, did you meet the people who led you, or did you put yourself in the right position to find your purpose, number one, and then to find a major problem and then begin that journey, right?
Yeah.
And that's literally it. You literally listen to us talk. It's literally in the name Laddering Your Success.
Mm.
You're finding the problem, and that ladder is literally you just climbing that ladder.
Yeah.
And solving that problem, right, towards your end goal, success, right?
Yeah. Man, that's deep. We going back to the video?
Yes.
All right.
People who could harness the true power of the sun, free energy, cures for cancers, cures for Alzheimer's, cures for celiac disease, cures for this, cures for that. People who make major innovations in the world of technology, science, math, reading, teaching, engineering, city planning, swimming, you name it. Those sources of potential are all in the cemetery. That's unfulfilled, untapped potential. Remember, if you know anything about the law of conservation of energy, energy is never created nor destroyed. It simply changes. The greatest source of unfulfilled, untapped potential is in the cemetery. When you decide to end your life, you're gone. You're not coming back. And the worst part about that is it's a source of unfulfilled potential. There is a gift, a talent, and ability that you are supposed to bless the world with that you don't get a chance to do.
Mm.
And it goes back to what we said earlier. I know it's hard. I know it's hard because they're just finding the resources. We talked about the resources, right? So a lot of this is going to have to be on you. A lot of y'all are going to have to grow up fast, and you're going to have to start taking ownership, right? Because remember, if we go back a little bit further, we said we're going to be talking about students, parents, and teachers. Some of y'all are ready, but you're missing something with the parents. You're missing something with the teachers, right? So for some of y'all are going to have to make these moves on your own, right? And that's where things like LYS are coming. We're saying, hey, we're going to give y'all some tools, whatever we got, right? Whatever we got, we're going to give you those tools to help you out. Okay. So what can you do? This is just a short list. I just thought of these on the top of my head. There's so many more of these, and you can pull from these and create your own ideas, right? But what can you do? First thing I'm gonna say is this. This is the biggest one. I'm gonna tell y'all right now. This is for the teachers and this is for the parents. When these kids come back to school next year, and I'll be honest, this was the year where I have debated becoming a teacher, where I debated coming back to school so much. And for the teachers, we're gonna go deep. We're gonna go deep. We're gonna talk about some stuff, because one of the biggest things I've seen is we are the students that we're teaching.
Wow.
You can't have success if you're the student that you're teaching.
Wow.
You can't have success. Can't do it. Not gonna happen. So teachers, we're gonna have to have some conversations, because we over here talking about we don't get paid enough, but we acting like we deserve to not get paid enough. Sip coffee. That's neither here nor there. Okay, but we're gonna talk about that later. Students, first thing I would say, put your cell phone down. Go outside. Put your cell phone down and go outside. You ain't even gotta walk. Just sit outside. Just get some sun. A lot of y'all are vitamin D deficient. You need some sun. You just need some sun. Just get some sun in. All right, if you want to go out for a walk, go out for a walk. But just put your cell phone down and go outside. Breathe in the fresh air. Look at a plant. Go to your friend's house and tell him to come outside. Tell her to come outside. Play hacky sack. Pick a ball around. Play Yahtzee. I just found out I don't even know what Yahtzee is. It's a dice game. I just learned about that, right? Put your cell phone down and go outside. Turn it off. Okay. Of course, as I say that now, my phone is vibrating. But put your cell phone down and go outside. Oh, I'm sorry. And I put on the bottom, especially if you're not in high school. So, and this is why I said, if you're a student, you can hear me. I want to let you know, I'm going to try and get this message out to as many teachers as I possibly can. My message to teachers is to tell parents when they come in for that open house to not let their students use cell phones at home. I am slowly seeing a correlation between students who seem to interact better with others, students who are able to be more critical thinkers, students who are able to think more independently, and students who aren't, based off of cell phones. A lot of my good friends, they don't let their children use cell phones. And if they do let their children use cell phones, they're monitoring them. And that's a big thing. And so that's one thing we're going to talk about when we go into the parents. We start talking about the parents, right? What can parents do? Another thing you can use, LYS, Free Student Mentoring, our suite of resources. In the beginning, we showed you all where we are. Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, we're working on Discord. What did I miss? Instagram, right? We're there. Look at what we got. If you're going to use your cell phone. I know it's hard, right? Because it's like, you said put your cell phone down. right? Well, yes, I want you to put your cell phone down. I do. But if you're going to use your cell phone, don't go and just start looking at all this random social media. You got to learn how to use this to your advantage. You can pause, you can unfollow, you can remove a lot of those things and change your feed, right? A lot of what y'all are dealing with is what you're putting in your mind. If you put bad in, negative in, guess what you're going to put out? You're going to put bad. You're going to put negative out. You know,
I think that's a good stopping point.
I just want to stop. I just want to apologize because me talking about this, I feel like a jerk. I feel like I'm a jerk.
I
apologize.
I was about to say I disagree, but no, I like the way you came back in there. No, because I definitely think, like, if you're going to use cell phone technology, whatever the technology is, like,
yeah,
bro, I remember having these discussions when we were studying psych and them talking about, oh, are humans like computers or computers like humans? I'm like, that is the dumbest question I've ever heard. Like, technology is chicken and egg, right? Like, what came first, the chicken or the egg, right? But it's like, no, we know humans were here before the computer was, you know what I'm saying? Like, because again, a lot of this stuff, these questions become distractions from you really getting to know yourself. Like, and as I start to write the next Ladder in Success book, I'm gonna talk about these three things. Is part of being, knowing, doing, and the different 7 areas that we describe. The first thing that it leads you to do is discovery. The second thing it leads you to do is development. And then the third thing it leads you to do is deployment. And so when you talk about discovery, when you talk about spirituality, when you talk about being, values, character, and principles, that discovery process that you're going through, especially in your late teens and early 20s, right? Or your teens and early 20s, late, tweens. What is that, tween? When you're like 10 to 14, your tweens to your 20s, that discovery process of values, character, principles, knowing what resources are available, things like that, it helps to set the stage for how far you can climb. It's like setting up a ladder up against a wall, or choosing the proper ladder for the job you're trying to get done, right? Success it just doesn't happen, right? There's a level of intentionality that has to be there for success to happen. And the thing is, I like what you said, Olay, is that you as teachers are like you're teaching the kids, but you're also the kids at the same time. A student is not above their teacher, right? So the thing is, this is why you have to go from mentor to mentor to mentor to mentor, because there's only a certain level that a person can take you. And so the thing is, if as an educator, you're not developing yourself, you can't develop your students. You know what I mean? You have to do the PDs and get the new developments and the new technology, but some of it has to be within reason. And sometimes you have to unplug, put away the cell phones, put away the stuff so that you could just go think and have your own thoughts. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why I definitely agree with you, is like, put the cell phone down, put the computer down, tablet, whatever, so you can hear your own thoughts and you can really think, what was I listening to? That was dumb. You know what I'm saying? Or, man, that was really profound. Where can I get more of that? You know what I'm saying? Because it's a two-way street. But were you gonna say something, Daniel?
Oh shoot, man. No, really, man. I was just over. I was like, facts, preach. But also, he is a jerk. Facts, yeah, that's fine. but now, man, I like how he said that we are the students we teach, bro. Like. And this year he said it was totally different, because like you would try to show them a way and they wouldn't focus, or you asked them a question, like, I can't remember how it went, but how can you show them, like, I forget the progress, somehow you said it, but it's like, first you got to understand, does the person already think they've made it? Because some people think they've already, like some students this year just thought they already knew everything, like, or they already made it. Or if you taught them something once, they think they got it. Even if they failed like 36 times, they be like, oh, no. I'm good. And it's like, okay, but how do you push past that point where it's like, bruh, you not good. like you don't understand this. But that's more of like changing person's mind. But it's just this year was different, like he said.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a tough one. That's a pride issue.
Right. Yeah, as far as pride, you mean when I said we are the students that we teach?
No.
Yeah, well that
No,
go ahead, my bad. Well, we was talking about like that too, we are student teachers, but that was true facts because at a point I gave up so part of the kids gave up too, you know what I'm saying? But then the point is you saw it in school this year. How do we push past the point of kids who think they've already made it or understand when they don't understand? Like, even doing math with them, they would be like, oh yeah, I actually got it. But you give them a test and they fail every time. Like, you don't get it. No. I actually do get it. You be like, bro, we looking at the same paper. You have a -12. Like, that's not working. I don't know how you push past that point.
My mind goes so many different places. My mind goes to
Miles Monroe, probably. I'm messing with you.
Possibly. Children being, oh yeah, man. My mind goes to children being a reflection of their parents in a lot of ways. My mind goes to the backgrounds of a lot of our students. Is kind of like in the presentation, single parent homes, trauma, a lot of these different things where a lot of kids that age are, the only opinion they have is their own. So they're so used to just having their opinion be the correct thing to do, even though it's probably wrong. They don't have an authority figure who can be like, no, that's actually not right. And, my mind goes to the recognition and the prestige of teachers that's gone. The job that we have is more of a pity. It's a pity position. You go to other countries, Miss Hughes, Mr. Hill, she'll tell you she taught in China, and the word she used is a very powerful word. The word that she used was revered, as to describe how she was treated when she taught in China. She was revered as a teacher. Don't get me wrong, in some places, teachers are still revered here, but in a lot of places, what we provide is not really appreciated. And a lot of times, and when I said we are the students that we teach, what I meant is, and not all places, and this happens in most places, right? But, this may be me in my naivety saying, if we're dealing with the future of the world, essentially, I just would hope and pray that it would be in an environment where at the end of the day, our main focus should be the student. Everything should boil down to, is this what's best for the student? And unfortunately, I have not seen that. Unfortunately, what I've seen is I've seen a lot of politics. I've seen a lot of, maneuvering, manipulation, which happens everywhere. I guess for me, in my mind, I say, this sucks because it's the kids. There should be no need for that, and we don't get that. But it's one of those things where, I'm not going to get on a high horse and be like, we need to do this for the kids, it's just an understanding, right? And that's why things like LYS are here to make sure that, we find ways to help those students, regardless of the situation, wherever it is, because, you can't go out waiting for someone to fix it. If you do, you're going to be waiting. You know how they had that picture of the guy waiting, and then it's like 300 years later, and he's like a skeleton, still waiting?
Yeah. That's dope that you say that, because Cleo just wrote an article. It's going to come out in a magazine about.
Was it the Frederick Douglass?
Yeah, you got a chance to read it?
I saw his post there,
okay.
and it was a really good quote that I saw there. That's why I definitely think about it.
So he's doing it for Juneteenth. If you can't wait, then create. And man, the article is just super dope because it talks about Frederick Douglass, him coming out of slavery. But more than that, him basically arising to the level of where at one point they said he was more popular than Abraham Lincoln, and he was the most famous person in America and the most photographed person in America at the time. Like, cameras were just really, coming out. Kodak was really just being a thing. And he was one of the most photographed people in the country. coming from slavery. And it was like, because he wanted to create pathways for more people to be free, you know what I'm saying? And what that really meant. And I think about that now too, is that like, you know, the Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. You know what I'm saying? Peter Parker, you know, what's his name? Uncle Ben, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's like a lot of us don't understand that the reason why a lot of these cell phones and all this stuff is happening is people are being strategic about you not learning information, you not having certain knowledge. And that's the thing a lot of people don't realize is one thing a great mentor told me was like, go read old books. And when you go back and you read books that are 50, 100 years old, you start to see the way people thought back then. You know what I'm saying? And that's a significant thing, because now everything being on social, people are doing a lot of expression, but it's not necessarily them. You know what I'm saying? It's not, they're doing it for the likes, they're doing it for the shares. But then if you were to encounter them, a lot of the things that they're talking about doing, they wouldn't do themselves. Where it's like, oh, they're doing all this dumb stuff or whatever. And then next, you know, you go look at it, you're like, but they wouldn't really do it for themselves. It's like two different personas. You know what I mean? The one that's online to make me rich. And then it's like this other me that's like the real me that just, hey, look, I did that to get money. You know what I'm saying? And I think in regard to where we're at as a society and students and them struggling and things like that, it's like, you gotta really be discerning to get around the right people, like you said earlier, get around the right educators, get around the right mentors. Like, you have to really seek stuff out. And again, I remember I was in Aldine and I was talking to some kids, man, and there's one kid, I think it was like in 11th grade, and man, I was like, dude, you're gonna win, because he knew his mentors, he knew what he was on point, like, yo, and it was like, yo, I was like, yo, how much time you spending with the mentors? That was like the only thing I could be like, okay, you got to fix that. Because he was like, yeah, I'm meeting with my mentors like once a month, once every 2 months. I was like, well, they can't mentor you that much if it's that far apart. You know what I'm saying? In terms of the time, like, increase that, whatever you got to do, even if it's on the phone, even if it's digitally. And again, that's why we make digital content, is so that, you know, you guys who are listening to this, you watching this, you can say, hey, look, I need to tune in and check in. And again, hit the link to, as a matter of fact, let's go through it right now a little bit. I'm gonna just share my screen. And what screen am I trying to share? I think I'll share the whole screen. Okay. So yeah, you know, you guys want to go to our website. We're gonna pull it up here. That's already there. www.ladderingyoursuccess.com. As Olay mentioned, we have a bunch of resources for my computer slow because I'm using Zoom. We have a bunch of resources for parents, for families, for teens. If you land on this page, you just want to scroll down, and my computer's really slow. You just want to click on the tab that best represents you. I'm a parent, I'm a student, or I'm an educator. Right? And educators includes homeschooling parents, but let's talk a little bit about what we got for students. Okay, so we're going to go through this real quick because we have different resources that we've created for students. Here at the top, you'll see some testimonials. And then the biggest thing for students is 10 things to think about before going to college. It's a free resource. It's a download for students. All you have to do is click here, give us a little bit of information, and you can download it. But again, we just said, you know, and this is our aim, is like, our students coming from the hood, we don't get, or let me not say the hood, or from the inner city, we don't get good quality resources. And so we said we're going to make good quality resources that aren't super expensive, right, to help people out. Yeah, go ahead, Olay.
Well, are you sharing? I see you, but I don't know. Oh, let me make sure. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that they can.
Yeah, they can.
Can everyone see?
Yeah.
Because I'm double checking. I got you.
Okay. Bet.
Was there something else?
No. That was it. I just wanted to make sure.
Okay, so yeah, so next is the scholarship guidebook, which somebody done messed up my image. I got to talk to AJ. So the scholarship guidebook, okay, so that's the resources like $15-16, has over $10 million worth of scholarships in there, but not just scholarships. Also, it breaks down and talks to you about the whole entire process, how you could save money on tuition, schools that offer free and low cost tuition in exchange for work, T-School. It goes into grants and the grant process. It's so many different things in the scholarship guidebook. Okay, like I said, this image right here is going to change because that's not the right image. So next, it is the Laddering Success book itself. Now, this is the OG of everything that we've done, right? It's like the Laddering
OG.
Exactly, triple OG. And you could come click here. If you click right here, it'll take you to Amazon. You can buy it on Amazon. But this is like, again, the OG, the cornerstone that kind of got us started, right? And so those are three things we do for students. Now, I'm going to back up and then I'll talk about kind of what we do for parents and the different resources that we have for parents. Because parents, I know you're really thinking like, man, these guys are talking that good talk, but how can I speak with my kid about what they're going through? Because again, oftentimes kids don't want to listen to their parents. I get it. Anybody who was a kid once, which we were all kids once, gets it. We think we're smarter than our parents, right? Up until you hit about 30, 35. Then you'd be like, man, he was on one, you know what I'm saying? So we got a little video there for parents, a scholarship guidebook. This is the actual correct image for the scholarship guidebook. So that's, again, available for parents. But we have the parents guidebook, the LYS parents guidebook. And so this is, again, a digital resource for you. You just hit buy now. I think it's $40. But the biggest thing, it's going to help you have the conversation with your kid about like what's next after high school and finding the right educational fit. Also complete activities to better understand your child's gifts and abilities, to learn more about the student debt crisis and what you and your child could do to avoid it, right? Because you can't just put it all on your kid, right? Because especially if they're 18 and they could sign for loans themselves, right? You don't want to put them in that hole. So get this book, $40, right? It's to me, that's super cheap for what's in it, right? Plus, it also has the career and college checklist inside of it, okay? And if you're like, yo, I've had these conversations with my kids, I just need a checklist to know where I'm at, how to prioritize the things. You could get the career and college checklist, my college and career checklist. And it's a checklist that says, okay, if you're in 6th grade, what are some things you should be doing? Or your child's in 6th grade. If your child's in 8th grade, what are some things that they should be doing? If they're in 10th grade, what are some things that you should be doing? And literally you could check off each thing to make sure you're putting your kid in the best possible position, your child in the best possible position. But then also it has LYS strategies on how to, let's say your kid doesn't want to go to college and they're like, well, how do I get them the best education or put them in the best position if they don't want to go to college? Well, there's some strategies in there that you can use and that you can apply to hopefully put your child in a better position. And again, we have the OG of resources right here, the LYS book. And then you could always book a one-on-one session with us. So if you want to speak with myself, with Olay, book a one-on-one session with us. And yeah, we could talk through like where you're at and kind of get you guys on the right road. And finally, if you're like, man, these guys got to come, I wish they could talk to the kids in the school. Just invite us. You could download our information, our contact information, and take it to your PTA, PTO, counselors, and say, look, I've been watching these guys, listening to these guys. We need them in our school. So you could kind of get us booked to be there. So yeah, so just want to go over those resources real quick. Olay, you got something?
Go ahead. Let me share so I can go over the different ways that they can follow us and find us. Hopefully next week, we will have the stuff up for Discord, and y'all see we're working. We're getting a little bit better. If you notice on my screen, got a little logo there on the bottom left. Hopefully next week. So Festus, when I come over there, I'm gonna set you up. We're gonna get that right. Hill, I'm gonna show you how to get it done. We're gonna set it up right. We're gonna look OG, triple OG, official, Cardinal official every Sunday when we do the mentor calls. We're gonna look official. Why? because you in 1080p, 60 FPS, you see all my pores.
Your camera ain't that much better than mine right now, but we'll see. We'll see.
Let's set the game up. We can't say ladder your success if we're not laddering our own success.
Oh yeah, we gotta take them steps ourselves. They
gotta come and they gotta see, and they're gonna say, oh, so they're laddering your success, and they're actually laddering their own success. That's so cool. And we're like, yeah, man, that's what we do. Say, give me $1 million right now. Let's go. I'm ready to roll. I'm ready to roll like Rocky Road. You know what I mean? Let's go.
His boy changed the voice.
I love the whole concept of the ladder. I'm loving the ladder. It's like you're stepping. Is that what you were trying to do, Festus? You were trying to like step on the ladder? Is that what you were doing there?
Most def, man. Most def.
Folks, if you want to get in contact with us online, on Instagram, LYS Students, _LYS. Facebook, laddering your success. This is for I like to say this is for the aunts and the uncles and the parents, because my students are like, Facebook is for boomers. I'm like, whatever.
And
YouTube, laddering your success. Folks, what'd you say, Festus?
I said, and the teachers for Facebook.
Oh, for sure. And the teachers. Folks, man, we're so happy, so excited. We're going to be working on so much new content to put out on YouTube for you to take a look and peruse and to just absorb and to just get a better understanding about yourself. Teachers, students, parents, everybody, right? TikTok, LYS, be no do. What did we say last week? TikTok, I'm coming for you. I know where you live. I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna find what your algorithm is while you're messing with us. All right, we're gonna find you. And lastly, you got an email, info@ladderyoursuccess.com. Going through a situation, going through a problem, send us an email. Got a question? Send us an email. Discord coming soon, man. Next week we're gonna get this Discord going. Hope, and we're gonna get this whole thing popping. It's gonna be on and popping like 1980s pop lock contest, cardboard boxes, and Adidas shell toes.
That boy swing the arms, bro.
Tango hats. We're gonna be. Oh, can we pass it? Can I pass it over to Festus? He's right there on my screen.
Let's try to bring it back. So anyway, what are we talking about? Are we gonna finish out the video, or we got 6 minutes left? Or you want to end?
Let's finish out the video. Absolutely.
Okay, let's finish out the video, and then next week we're gonna come to y'all fresh with new content and new ideas, like always. Yeah, most def. But
sure.
We'll finish out this video. So thank you guys for sticking with us, especially for those who watch on social.
Tell my students, spend the weekend, just cut the cell phone on. See if you don't feel different. All I'm saying is, if you're gonna use it, just out of whatever you do, just take 5, 10, 15 minutes, look at LYS stuff. Just look at what we have to offer. Just look at what we're giving. Just look at our videos. That's all I'm asking. If you're gonna use yourself. Next one. Guys, we gotta find some good influences. And this one is hard. I know. I'll tell you why it's hard. I thought about my students. I was thinking about where they are. And so I said, okay, my students all live within this 5 to maybe 10 mile, and that's me being, liberal, 5 to 10 mile radius. And I'm thinking about everything that's around them. And I'm like, that's not good, that's not good, that's not good, that's not good. Okay. But one thing that we had when we were younger is we had this exploring mind where we would just navigate and go to different areas, right? We would just kind of leave our general area and go a little bit further. If you have opportunities to do that, look for opportunities outside of your immediate area. One thing I thought about was, I was like, okay, so I teach in A-Leaf, in the A-Leaf Independent School District. And for where my school is and where my students are, right outside of A-Leaf is another area called Stafford. You could maybe find some things to do out in Stafford. Even if it's just going to a park, if there's a church there and they have a park, if there's a library program, community center, something out there, look for opportunities outside of your immediate area. So thankful to all of those, the councilmen, the district, whoever was working on revamping or rebuilding the A-Leaf Community Center. It looks like it's going to be beautiful, amazing. Look for opportunities outside of your immediate area. Okay. Next thing, journal. Journal. What does that mean? Get a notebook. And I know it's been hard. A lot of my students have been asking me last year. They were like, Mr. Shrunky, can you get me this? Can you give me that? Can you give me this? And because my brain has been everywhere, I never had time to be able to provide the things that I really wanted to provide for my students, right? That's that triangle that was in the beginning, right? But journaling is simply just taking a journal or a notebook or a sheet of paper and just writing your experiences, writing how you feel. And you would be so surprised. Even if you do 2 sentences, man, today sucked. My teacher made me stand on the wall because I was throwing rocks at somebody. Right? Boom, you're done. You come back 2 weeks later and you're like, man, that day sucked. It did suck. Man, teacher put me on the wall. Man, I should have thrown that rock. I won't do that next time. Boom. You just grew. You just grew. Very important to be able to journal what you're going through, what your experiences are, and then be able to go back and learn from those things. Folks, that's how you ladder your success. Seems boring, right? I'm sorry, it's not an Instagram post. Hey, if you wanna do it on your phone, right? I wouldn't even say do it on your phone. I'm gonna say journal. Write it down. Write it down. A lot of y'all need to work on your handwriting anyways. Anti-ways. I need to work on your handwriting anti-ways. Okay, so write it down. Some of y'all out here, your handwriting look like chicken scratch. I love y'all to death. I cannot read what you're writing. Okay? When the teacher picks up a paper to read and they go like this, it's not good. Some of y'all need them old school. Line with the dotted lines, work on your A's, your B's, your C's. All right, your consonants. Lastly, find your passions. What do you like? What do you love? What's that thing when everyone's doing it, you do it a little bit better? Folks, if you notice, these are all the things we've been talking about with LYS. All the things we've been talking about since early January, right? About 6 months in. These are all the things we've been talking about with LYS. All of them. Or as my friend likes to say, YSL. He's Saint Laurent, right? I thought he was like, you over there with your YSL shirt on. You gotta find your passions. You gotta find your passions. Believe it or not, all these things are gonna make you happy. If you do them, right? If you do them with excellence, if you know those resources, if you know your values and your principles. And you'll start to see, right? You get that going on, you're able to find some people that you can really talk to, right? You'll start to see you're not as angry, you're not as depressed, you're not as anxious, right? You're not as mad. You're learning social skills, right? You're learning how to critically think, you're learning how to think independent. You slowly start to see that those things will start to go away, okay? No. This is just the first part of, this is probably going to be about 2 or 3 lessons that we do with this.
Yeah, I definitely think, and again, bravo to you, Olay, for taking the time out to just talk about those things. I mean, you covered a lot there, that was heavy and hefty. And so again, I just want to thank you for putting that together, for your leadership, your constant leadership in terms of putting together these mentor calls, and again, it takes time, it takes energy, it takes thinking critically about others to do these mentor calls. So I want to thank you again, man. I'm glad to be doing this with you, man. So the same thing with you, Daniel. I appreciate you, because Daniel came out of nowhere like, yo, I'm on. just like a screen pop up right there. But yeah, I think with that, man, we'll be closing out soon. So again, if you're on social media, thank you guys so much for watching. and rocking with us. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. Do all three. Share,
Do it all.
Like, share, subscribe, or hit the heart button, because I think I would think in the algorithm the heart button has more power than the like button, right? So in the grand scheme of things, so please do that with us, and thank you for rocking with us. Dan, you got anything?
Nah, bro.
Okay, Olay.
Hey, I got something I want to say. Thank you for your kind words, Festus. First of all, I think I'm ready to and I think I'm ready to do the ending. I want another shot at it.
Okay, yeah. Do your thing, man. Do your thing. I see you reading.
All right, folks, listen. There are no legitimate.
Remember, set your goals appropriately.
Mute yourself.
I see. You got it, bro. Go ahead. You got it.
There are legitimate reasons for not going to college. There are no legitimate reasons to not getting an education. Have a nice Sunday.
Oh, you still there? Well, thank you so much for listening to the LYS podcast.